So, my title of my talk today is Altered States in Meditation. So, samadhi is the Pali word for that, and it has lots of definitions, and it's really understood differently across different Buddhist traditions. Some time ago, gosh, it probably was close to a decade ago, I read a book about this by Richard Shankman. And I'm talking at it here not just to recommend the book per se, but really what struck me about the book was how varied understandings of samadhi were. And I was really drawn to part two, where he presents the often conflicting views of Theravada and Vipassana insight teachers. And that's the tradition that reflective meditation, is really most closely aligned. And these teachers really spanned a wide continuum from those who viewed these altered states as essential and foundational to other meditative developments to those who issued strong cautions about their dangers and potential misuse. So I'm just going to read a little summary of the book, the summary they put out. Dharma practice offers a wide range of wise instructions and skillful means. As a result, meditators are often exposed to diverse and sometimes contradictory approaches to the core teachings and the meditative path. And this can be confusing. So, in a clear and accessible way, Shankman unravels this mix of differing perspectives and traditional teachings, exploring how samadhi is understood and taught across lineages. So, what is samadhi? It's a fancy word, but what does it mean? Well, that's the problem. There's no one single answer. There's lots of varied ideas about this. But here's what I came across that I really liked. Samadhi is the mind resting in what is happening without being pulled apart. I like that. But if I was to reduce that to a single word, and I often use this word, it would be collectedness. That's my best translation. So personally, for myself, I experience this as a range of altered states of consciousness. Now, I suspect that this framing is partly influenced by my early adult life and my experiences with psychedelics during my hippie days. I became familiar with my body mind moving through a variety of altered states, and I actively sought them out. I think this was a reaction to having grown up in 1950s suburbia, where life often felt flat or one-dimensional. Now, of course, psychedelics are back in vogue now, um, but for me, encountering altered states through meditation rather than substances has proved to be far safer and a more integrated path. Well, though I often wonder whether I would describe my meditative states to myself, that is, describing them to myself, which, that's what we're big on, describing what happens in meditation to ourselves in our reflective time. And I wonder if I would describe them differently had I not been so conditioned by psychedelics in my early adult life. I'll never know that. So, but back to these altered or perhaps better said, not usual states of consciousness. It seems like they set the stage for new perspectives and new possibilities to emerge. And in my own language, descriptive language, it sometimes feels like I bubble into new dimensions. So, Shankman in that book mentions the dangers of this. What are they? Well, I'm not sure they're as pronounced in reflective meditation practice as they might be in other approaches to meditation. And that's because we intentionally um, don't structure these long, unbroken, well, not, unbroken is the wrong word, but lots of meditation over many days. And we also don't intentionally guide you into deeper and deeper samadhi. We don't do guided meditations or structure isolating silence. I mean, the silence on those longer retreats I did also earlier in my life. that real strict silence I felt was really isolating. And when I got into these strange states of mind, there was no one to talk to about them. So, but in reflective meditation, we do trust, and I've also seen this a lot, which is why I trust it, that you'll only experience what you can cope with. And if you find yourself in a state that just feels too difficult, we encourage you to shift your focus or even to intentionally end the meditation. There's no substance on board, so when you end the meditation, you'll probably come out of it, whatever that altered state was. So, but I have a caution about samadhi, and that's that it can easily give rise to conceit. By that, these ideas of your meditation is better than or less than that of other people. And when we talk about our meditations, which we do at the end of, well, in the daily online in the last 10 minutes, but at different meditation events that we have, we do that. That's what we do. We set aside to talk about our meditation. Um, and that can really lead to, comparison and conceit. So I'd suggest you not make too much of these altered states. They aren't extra special. They, in fact, are quite common. And similarly, ranking your meditation experience with those of others, which is so common and maybe almost inevitable, but the ranking is rarely reliable. So I would encourage you, I'm not going to tell you not to do that because it's just kind of what we do, but I would encourage you to not fully believe in those comparisons. So I've listened to countless meditators talk about your meditation experience, and I've come to firmly believe that way the mind settles, becomes collected, varies greatly from person to person. And I love that diversity. It really piques my curiosity. And I wish the same for you. But these states are difficult to describe for many reasons. For one, they can be hard to remember. For another, they can be hard to put into words, or they can be fleeting and just kind of like, whoosh, gone, or all of the above, or something else altogether I couldn't think of. And so, for that reason, there was a period of time, I'm not doing this right now, I might do it again. I journaled during meditation, trying to capture the experience before it felt like it just slipped away. And it started to become clear to me, and as that also how I entered samadhi was deeply conditioned by decades of vipassana practice and involvement. How could it be otherwise? So for me, these altered states are often coordinated with the breath and often primarily experienced in the body. But when I hear others describe their experience, it seems like samadhi often arises through vivid visuals, or not vivid, just visuals, patterns of color, or sometimes unusual scenes. And generally, these states feel pleasant, calming, intriguing. So, what I've named here is just um, a few of the ways that samadhi can be experienced. I'm sure that your descriptions might further expand this understanding, especially to yourself. So that's where I'm going to end the talk for today.